Hello and welcome back to Auto Animals. I'm James and we're reviewing the Kia Soul second generation. This is actually a car that's part of our daily fleet. This is our sort of workhorse, if you like. Gets everyone from A to B, carries all the camera equipment and stuff. Just a rugged little beast. And I'm going to show you why I think it's probably one of the best family hatches you can actually buy. So first of all, a little bit of history. This is the second generation Kia Soul. The first generation was sold in Europe and sold in America. Did exceedingly well in America. Europe, not so much. Didn't really sell great, but enough for them to warrant the second generation coming to Europe, which is this one here. There is a third generation, which is sold in America in petrol and electric versions. In Europe, it's only sold in electric versions because the car just didn't sell very well. Maybe it's the styling. The styling is incredibly subjective. I love it. It's just that boxy utilitarian, no nonsense, but it's still really good looking. Didn't Obviously the public didn't agree with that, but no, it's a decent car. This was sold up until in the UK, at least up until about 2018, I believe it was, when the Mark III EV version came out. But yeah, based on I always thought it was based on the Kia Ceed platform. It's not. It's technically based on the same platform as the Kia Rio, and you'll find out why when we get to the boot. So this is a 2016. I checked the plate for it there. 2016 Kia Soul Maxx, 2Xs, which means this is the top level trim. So this has got absolutely everything thrown at it. This is just before the facelift, which added black wheel arches and stuff like that for the whole range to give it a more rugged SUV look. Because it's not quite an SUV, it's not quite an MPV. It's definitely in the realm of what you consider to be a crossover. It's somewhere in the middle, but does the job of both things perfectly well. So this is the 1.6 turbo diesel CRDI model, I believe it is. You can also get it with other similar sized petrols, I believe. There was a turbo version, whether it was called the turbo or the sport or the GT, I can't remember, but it depended on the market. But there was a hot version basically, which was basically looked like this, but with some red accents on it. So they didn't go to town with it too much, but it did have 201 horsepower. This has got 134 from the 1.6 turbo diesel. Yeah, we'll get to the power and stuff later on. For now, let's just look at the design of it. It is, as I said, subjective. It's very much, some people like it, some people don't. I think it's fantastic styling. They've really knocked it out of the park with this one because it's different. It's quirky. It's aggressive looking, but it's still slabby, blocky. It's kind of, yeah, I think it really works. As you can see from the side, it's a very sort of squared off angular design. It's very much a box. It's I love the big 18-inch diamond cut alloys though. Lovely. Very easy to curve, unfortunately. Loads of chrome accents and stuff like that. This is the top of the level one, top of the trim one. What you can't see is the Max versions had black wheel arches and extensions going all the way around. The car's black, you can't see them. But I nearly bought this there was a bright red and a bright yellow one that I absolutely love. Love big, bright, solid colours on cars. And yeah, I think it looks great in those colours, but it really shows off those wheel arch extensions. The important thing is it's a really fairly practical car, actually. I say really fairly, it's a contradiction in itself. But for passengers, very, very comfortable, loads of space, fantastic. As you'll see when we get to the boot though, not an awful lot of space. You think about it, the rear seats are here, back end's here. The boxy shape makes you think it's going to have a big boxy cavernous boot like an estate. It's no. It is based on a hatchback platform, so it is what it is. Okay, so opening is right down here, which is fine, but it's very low. If you're carrying lots of heavy items, you've really got to struggle to get to it. Pressing the button would have been much easier on the badge. Also, reversing camera is here. It's exposed, so as is frequently with this car, I can confirm it's always filthy. You can hardly ever see anything out the back of it. Let's open up this big boot. I say big boot, I know it's not a big boot. Big square opening. I mean, I'm 6'1". I have to duck to get in it. And then you've got this folding parcel shelf, so there's no strings because there's no reason for it to come up because it's a flat back. So the parcel shelf folds in half, or it can fold all the way up. But actually, you can peg it down so it stays in that half position if you want as well. If you ignore the camera equipment and the like I've got in the boot here, this one has a rubber floor mat. But you've then got There's not a there is a bit of a load lip. There's a load hump here, but it's plastic and rugged, and you could easily pull things over it. Problem is the bumper does protrude quite a bit, so we have before put things in it and scuffed the bumper on it. There is a false floor, which is very sturdy, and in there is a polystyrene divider with 3 dividers to put all useful stuff, and then there is a spare wheel under there as well. You've obviously got 60/40 split folding seats as well, and the sub for the Infinity sound system, which I'll come to later. It's not the biggest, it's okay. It's about what you get in a Superman. Anyway, our Bath Grande Punto is pretty much the same size boot. It's a little bit more in this one, but it's not gonna. We fit a large suitcase and a couple of the smaller carry-on ones with it as well. But even then, it goes above the parcel shelf line, so it's fine, and it's quite a tall space, so you can get decent tall items in it. With the seats down though, absolutely fine. You can get loads of stuff in there. And because that's 60/40 split, you can fit extra luggage in with an extra passenger or two if you want to. Let's go take a look at the rest of the inside. Okay, so the rear seats then. Let's see how we fit in here. Oh, actually, apart from getting my foot in there, it's actually pretty roomy. I've still got some head space. My head is just about touching the ceiling, but I guess I'm a tall guy. There is a panoramic sunroof in this one, which we'll come to in a bit, but which does eat a bit into the space, but not dramatically. Actually getting in and out, don't bang my head in it or anything. Width space, I'm fine. I could have someone here next to me, and obviously I'm a very big guy. Does the door shut? Bear with. Yes, door shuts, and although my arm is pressed against the door armrest, I do have an armrest, and I do have my electric windows and my own bottle holder as well, which is excellent. The only caveat is the front seat is as far forward as it goes. I mean, by doing that, I still have about that much spare leg room, so the front seat can come back that much. But yeah, it's not a bad place to be in here, to be fair. It's very light and airy, mostly because of the sunroof. I've got my own little elastic string backing on the door. There's not one on the driver's side though. That doesn't make any sense, but hey ho. I've got my own little LED vanity lights here, which feels very sort of plush. I've got what looks leather wrapped, but it's not. It's just a plastic, but still very sturdy nonetheless. Grab handle is dampened. Same on this side as well. So it's very nice. Everyone gets their own headrests in the back. Oh, yeah, can't really complain. There's nothing down here though in the transmission tunnel. No charging, no vents, no nothing. But it's a car that was designed in like what 2012, 2013. So you're not going to expect top end luxury. You know, it's in a car in this segment. But yeah, I could sit in the back here for decent sized journeys, and it's good. Let's try out the front then, I guess. Let's try out the front then. I've switched around to the driver's side because it's in my driving position. You can probably see there, that seat is really far forward. You're going to get someone with tiny legs in there with me in the back, but hey ho. Right, once you're in, this is a very comfortable place to be honest. Got these big leather seats. Let's just push this seat back to where it should be. Yeah, big leather seats, even a big guy like me can fit into fine. Headroom's not bad. My mohawk is touching the ceiling, but not my head, which tells me that the rear seats sit higher than the front, so stadium-style seating in the back there. There's a lot in here going on. We've got this lovely two-tone sort of grey leatherette, which is squishy, with all the grey plastics and stuff, which is two-tone with the black, so it's not too dark, but it's not too cheap feeling as well. You've got black and grey, so it's kind of nice. Everything here is all black and is all somewhat soft touch as well. Both passenger and driver have got sun visors, both with mirrors, both with vanity lights, and the vanity lights got a brilliant thing where if you switch them on and you leave them on, you close it and the switch shuts, so it turns the light off, so you can't accidentally flatten the battery, and they both have that. The brilliant thing as well that we've discovered that both of these have is obviously they do that, you know, that's what any car visor does. Something I've only ever seen in German premium cars is that, so you can get it to the right angle, so it then covers, probably because the windows are quite big, but that nearly fills in that window gap. And you have the same thing on the driver's side, What would be good is to have a second flap, because I think it was my Mini I used to have, could have one here and then another one here, so you could block out the sun. But yeah, that's a niggle really. So in the car, you've got 4 electric windows, one touch down on the driver's side, not up, but I'm not sure why, but there you go. So there's just a little key fob, because this is the contactless one. So there's a little button on the door outside to open it if the key's in your pocket. The boot will open as well if you're near it with this key. And to start the car is a big silver engine starts button with a red light on it, which is kind of neat. I like that. What else have we got going on in here? So this has cruise control, climate control, front and rear parking sensors, rear reversing camera. We've got an 8-inch touchscreen with sat-nav, which supports Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, wired only. But it's a 2016 car. What do you expect? It's got an Infinity 8-speaker sound system. So we mentioned that earlier when I was talking about the sub, but you've got a great big centre speaker here, which I believe is used mostly for the calls, but I think kicks in when the music is going as well. You've got great big woofers in the doors. You've got ones in the doors in the back as well. You've got floating tweeters up here. I believe you can get these with different colours as well, different trims, can be different colours. And obviously the Infinity sub in the boot, or Infinity sound system for the whole thing. It sounds fantastic. It sounds so good, honestly, it's brilliant. Best sound system from factory I've had in a car before, so that's fantastic. What else have we got? Electric mirrors, electric folding mirrors. We've got USB and auxiliary and 12-volt socket. It's USB-A, but again, the car is designed 10, 11 years ago now, so what do you expect? You've got heated seats, both front heated seats. You've got shortcut buttons for the navigation and the touchscreen and so on. You've got mood lighting in the front speakers. So this chrome sort of strip circle around the edge of the speakers, you can have it so that either pulses with your music, or if you put it on mood, it will change subtly between all the rainbow of colours, basically, in the background. So it's a very sort of nice, cool thing. And you can adjust the brightness of it or just turn it off. I think it's really cool. You've got a TFT instrument display in the middle of your 2 dials. Obviously, no full TFT screen, because again, given the age of the car and the price and the market of the car at the time, why would it? But it's got a little colour screen in the middle there, which is great for just your basic information, basic trip information. It's got different steering settings as well. You have normal, which is normal, sport, which makes it heavier, and comfort, which makes it oh so light. And then we've got this fantastic panoramic sunroof. Now, because it's a very boxy car, it's got a very flat, square roof, so they can utilise that by having a massive piece of glass. So it starts here and ends just behind the passengers' heads in the rear. So I can demonstrate that to you now by putting the ignition on. Turn the aircon down. If I flick it back, the front half slides back, and I get a fantastic view of the sky. It's a little bit slow. This one has been getting slower as it's been getting older. Possibly needs oiling, so it's an old car now. It's 7 years old. You wouldn't think it to look at it though. It's got this springy mesh at the front as well, which is the wind deflector, which is fantastic. It's also got, you can obviously tilt the front part as well, but you can also then cover if you're worried about sun glare and stuff, it's got a full length cover. So if I press this close button here, closes the sunroof that I've opened. It brings the blind up to halfway. It pauses and waits while the main sunroof does its thing. It's normally a lot faster than this when the engine's running. There we go. And when it's finished, the blind continues. And then it's closed, and it's the same material and colour as the rest of the roof. I've had people get in this and go, oh, I guess that's the cutout where the sunroof would go. And then you go, aha, check out my sunroof. Weren't expecting that. You've got LED map reading lights as well. You've got a damped sunglasses holder here, which is felt lined. You've got a decent sized glove box as well, actually very decent for a car this size. All in all, I just think it's a fantastic car. So let's go see what it's like to drive. Okay, so what's the Kia Soul like to drive? It's very pleasant generally. It's comfortable. The suspension's good. It's not too hard, not too soft. I'd kind of almost called it Goldilocks suspension. Power delivery is pretty good. You've got a 6-speed manual in this one with a 1.6 turbo diesel engine, which pulls plenty. It's 136 horsepower in this one. Kia, Honda use it in a lot of different products from what I understand. You're never really left wanting. It's obviously not hot hatch performance or performance car in any sense of the word, but it's got torque and grunt. I don't know what the torque figures are, but it feels it pulls well. Um, obviously you have to knock it down a gear here and there to get going, but realistically, no. I mean, there's very little. I was about to say there's very little turbo and diesel lag. There is some. It's nothing like the lag that we saw in our Grande Punto review. Click there or for the pop-out banner or the description below to see that video, our most popular video to date. But in that, you can really see how bad small diesel turbo engines are. This, not that problem at all. Typical diesel slash turbo, you still have to wind it up when you're pulling if you want to pull away quickly from a junction. But realistically, it's not that bad. I mean, I'm now in. It's asking me to go into fourth. Actually, we're doing 35. I'll put it into fourth. Yeah, cruising at 35. I want to put my foot down. 40. Yeah, it's. You're never left wanting. It just goes. It just does what it needs to do, and it does it well. It's smooth. It's pleasant. I wouldn't say it's especially noisy in here. Um, the thing that I will say, and I will probably mention this later, the boxy shape does not lend itself well to two things. One is aerodynamics in terms of fuel efficiency. So we are getting 45 miles to the gallon, which is fine, but it's kind of mediocre really when you compare it to the competition. But you know, it's not bad. The second issue with such a boxy shape, and mainly with the very upright windscreen, and I had this with the Mini that we used to have, the Clubman. For any Mini really of any generation, I imagine has this problem because there's the upright windscreen. While I prefer that for visibility, it does make looking at the windscreen much easier, and the windscreen's a lot closer to you, and big boxy shape. You know, you've got a better idea where the end of the car is because the bonnet juts out. The problem is the wind whipping over the car. If I open one of the windows now, it just goes nuts. Like you try cracking open the window if you vape or smoke or something like that, where you want a little bit of fresh air when you're on the dual carriageway or the motorway doing 60 or 70, you go deaf or your ear freezes. It's just so the wind does not cut well over these windows. So going into a tight left turn followed by a right turn, and it doesn't roll. It doesn't wallow around the corner. It doesn't feel like you're driving obviously a big 4x4 because you're not. It doesn't really feel like you're driving an SUV either. But it feels more like a hatchback, to be honest. And that's no bad thing. It's like if it's just a more practical boxy hatchback, fine. Very pleasant to be in. We've done plenty of long journeys in this. Came out of it feeling pretty comfortable, really. Not particularly tired. It's kind of, yeah, I mean, the heated seats are lovely, which is something I never say in cars. I normally hate heated seats. Love them in this. Don't know why. Very, very, very lovely. The fan, the blower, is typical Hyundai Kia affair, where it is bloody powerful. Coming out of this and going into the Abarth, the Abarth is like being blown on through a straw by an asthmatic moth, whereas this is gale force by comparison. We used to have a little Hyundai i10, and you could clear the windscreen in that like that, to the point where it could get so cold it would start to form ice on the windscreen, because it was blowing such cold air onto it. It wasn't even an especially cold day. It was just the air conditioning was so powerful. Kia Hyundai really know how to do HVAC systems. So yeah, so it feels like a very safe, secure car overall, really. You do feel you and your family are safe and protected in this car. But what if you don't feel safe and protected online? Which leads us neatly onto today's sponsor, Surfshark VPN.
So you might have heard of Surfshark VPN, or maybe you haven't. Surfshark provides a VPN, or a virtual private network, that helps keep you safe online and lets you access content that may not be available in your area. A VPN keeps you safe and private by masking everything that you do online. When your device connects to the internet, all that data is blurred out or encrypted, which makes it great when you're using public, unsecure Wi-Fi networks in places like hotels and coffee shops. Anyone who tries to spy on you won't be able to see what you're doing or where you're doing it from. Using a VPN is kind of like wearing underpants. When you go outside, everything is kept safe and secure and out of the visibility of other people. It's also great for accessing content not available in your area. If a movie or a TV show on your favourite streaming platform isn't available where you live, use Surfshark to change your location. Now you can access that same streaming platform from a different country, which does have the content that you want. It works in reverse too. If you're travelling and you want to see stuff you can only see in your home country, use Surfshark VPN to change your location back to your home country, and you can access that content again. So why am I telling you this? Well, if you use the code AutoAnimals at checkout or visit the link in the description, you can get 83% off a subscription and you get 3 extra months free. Can't say fairer than that. So visit surfshark.deals/AutoAnimals and enter the code AutoAnimals at checkout to get started today. A massive thank you to Surfshark for sponsoring today's video. It really helps the channel grow, and by you guys using Surfshark, it helps us even more. So thanks again. Now, back to the video.
Scratchy plastics. Everyone says about scratchy plastics. So, I mean, okay, the center console barely wobbles, even if I whack it with my legs, so that's solid. Scratchy plastics right down the transmission tunnel, there is. But how often do you ever touch that? Scratchy plastics inside the door bins a little bit, but again, really minimal. I mean, there's a nice fabric-lined roof lining. You've got the drop-down sunglasses holder here, which is lined with thickly padded felt, and it's dampened as it comes down as well. It's all very luxurious, and it's very much a sort of you're sitting up and on the car rather than sitting like low down in a sports. It's very much sort of the SUV driving position. You feel up, and like an MPV as well. It's easier to get in and out of, don't you know? It's just, yeah, it's a lovely practical car. I need to find something I don't like about it. The looks are subjective, like I said. It's noisy at speed. No. To release the fuel cap, you have to pull a lever on the floor by the driver's seat, even though the fuel cap is on the passenger side, so you have to walk all the way around the car to do it. I even like the digital soft sounding indicator noise. It just sounds kind of pleasant. The stalks are not cheap feeling necessarily, they're plastic, but what car doesn't have plastic stalks? Visibility is really good. No, try to think of bad things. What bad things are there about this car? When you get in it, and you've been using Android Auto, because me and my husband, that's all we use is Android Auto with our phones. If you come back into the car, it will be set to the radio, and the radio will just be on, and it comes on automatically. Bit annoying. I guess one minor thing I would moan about is it's got auto-dipping rear mirror, which is lovely, because you get dazzled by so many people these days with their stupid bright lights. But it doesn't dim the side mirrors. So if someone is coming up behind you and they have got bright lights on, you don't see them in the rear view, but every time you see them peek out from around your car, you get blinded in one of your side mirrors. So it's like, well, okay, that would be useful. Even now, look, it's pulling along in fourth, very throatily and very happily, but it's still only like 2,500 revs. It's not screaming. Plenty of guts left in this. I've just put it into sixth, doing under 60. Gonna overtake. Yeah, 65, 70 in sixth. The cruise control buttons are really handily placed right where your right thumb is. There's none of this stuff on column stalks, whether it's on the Abarth or on other cars. Everything is just here at thumb's reach on the wheel. Yeah, overall, I would say this is generally a very overlooked car. It's, yeah, you don't see many of them around, and that's a real shame because it's a really good car. you want something that's a bit out of the ordinary, but you need an MPV or SUV, this is kind of great because it's kind of neither one or the other, but it's really good. So that's the Kia Soul. Just a fantastic overall car, really. Fantastic for families, especially if you've got too much luggage. But yeah. So yeah, similar cars to this would be things like the Vauxhall Mariva, the second gen one, or the Ford B-Max. But they're a bit boring, aren't they? They're a bit John Everyman. Like, this is different, it's quirky, it's interesting. Overall, it's just, yeah, it's a pretty solid car. It's really good. I highly recommend it. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like and comment and subscribe, especially the first two, because then that tells YouTube this was a good video and more people should see it. And I'll see you in the next one. Thanks very much. But now, well, I think it's great. I still do recommend it. Go away. Well, I think it's great. I still do recommend it. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. Fucking hell, cars. That's a nice M2. At some point, all these cars are going to go, and I'll be able to carry on. Why don't Pink Bank Holiday Friday do this? This will stand out in that same market. So you're looking at sort of smaller. Thanks. It is Bank Holiday Friday.